ordinance revision bid.
Yeah.
All that is just, I need you guys to tell me yay or nay on bid, if we're gonna bid that out to do the ordinance revision. That's all I need. Sorry.
I'm going to call this meeting to order.
I'm gonna put you guys in chairs if you don't pay attention here. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Can we get an approval of the meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for November 8th. Second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. You want to do the treasurer's report?
Yeah, Keisha won't be here this evening, so she left us a little note, thank goodness. Okay, so, top section, we had a beginning balance in our checking of $69,274, less November expenses of $4,988. We had additions of revenue of $52,577, giving us a balance in our checking of $116,864. Our investment balance with UBS is $452,274, giving us total assets for the township of $569,137. Moving to the middle section, November expenses compared to last year were $2,578 lower, and this was due to higher legal fees in November of 22, partially offset by higher permit expenses in November 2023 compared to last year. November revenue compared to last year was $47,873 higher, and this was mainly due to the timing of the second half of the property tax payment from Washington County, which we did receive in December last year instead of November. Going to the bottom section, we have $2,413 left in the expense budget for the year. We have collected an additional revenue of $7,328 above the budget for the year. Keisha anticipates a surplus of around $10,000 for the full year of 2023 if December activity is fairly similar to prior years.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
Well, thanks, Pam.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let's pay the bills.
I'll make a motion to pay bills 201 through 212 for $2,788.34. Second that.
Any questions on these for anyone?
How about the road boss? Is that all he wanted for?
Yeah, Keisha actually went back and discovered that we did pay him for the year up to July and then, or through July. Anyway, he sent me a new bill from then to now, and it was only $105.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Pam.
I'd just like to say there was tires thrown on Ted's side of the road, and within 2 days they were gone, and I was extremely impressed by the work of the road boss.
I love that guy.
Yeah.
Maybe Ted picked him up.
And then threw him on bicycle.
Okay, let's vote on it.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Reports of committees and meetings and events, Planning Commission report.
Good afternoon. Plan Commission met on Monday. We had an agenda that started with nothing on open forum. We had an agenda that was the review of the mining permit submitted by, or redlined by SHC. I believe it's as the firm that helped us with it. A lot of discussion about a couple of items, but only minor changes for you to consider, which I know that you've seen them before, but just to highlight them from the red line version we received. The only changes that we agreed to and advanced were, number one, an extension of the permit timing. Instead of January through January, is January through March 31st of the following year. So that's on page 1. I'm sure you've seen that proposed change.
Is March 31st? Why is that?
It'll go April to April going forward, but because we're changing the date to April, we've got to start it this January and go to March 31st, 2025.
So January is when we make the motion?
You
I mean,
can.
we
It'll-
could,
no, I-
but we got to get something from our attorney.
I guess we just picked January. We could have picked we don't know if it's going to be approved tonight, so we couldn't pick today to
Yeah.
put on there, so.
Operating under the last, until
They are
31st.
until the 31st of this year.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we start from the 1st.
Yep, that's why.
Thanks, Dan.
That's right. They have an existing permit, the 23 permit, that runs until the end of the year. So if you get from the beginning of the year, instead of going to the end of the year, then go in another quarter, basically, just to give us time for the approval process. That's really it.
Yeah, so we want to do that at our regular January
The
town
timing of
board
the
meeting.
Yeah, the timing of the permit approval is sort of independent from what we're proposing. When you approve it, you may be with a few days in which there's no permit, but I don't think there's any mining either. So, which is what we had last year. We didn't
No,
approve it until that much.
That's fine, right, Tom?
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
So that was the one change. Again, I'm speaking changes from the red line version that we were reviewing and that had been presented via conversation. We didn't make any changes about the hours of operation. My understanding is that you may want to make changes to that, but the changes that we advanced were the ones that were presented, which are different from what's in our ordinance. You can deliberate and decide whatever hours you want to approve, but we didn't make any changes from the red line version that we were presented. We had not to confuse you, but we had a ton of conversation about, on page 3, site maintenance activities. Condition C is related to the vegetation removal. Lots of discussion. Their attorney was actually quite elaborate, kind, and articulate on why we should not have that condition. We ended up deciding to include it. One of the things that I would like you to know, sort of as a commission, is it was very clear, and this will be reflected in our minutes, that the mine doesn't intend to do anything north of the existing extraction boundary in 24. So they didn't think that this was necessary. We thought it would be a good thing to keep, and we decided to keep it. So no changes to that. And then we did make a change, or suggest a change, under the special conditions A8. We made a small little change at the end of the sentence, that instead of being a modification by the town board chair, it'd be a modification can be made according to the existing ordinance guidelines, which I know we're changing. So we're basically just aligning what the ordinance says, which it can be less than, it doesn't need to be the supervisor, the chair, it can be somebody else. That was it. I'm looking at my team, see if I missed anything. So a lot of discussion, a lot of clarification of intentionality by the mine, very minor changes that we're presenting to you at this point for consideration and for approval. It was an unanimous decision on that, and although we didn't agree with everything that Biden was presenting, it was a very collegial discussion, which we certainly appreciate. We had another couple of agenda items, but we went through them really quickly. We talked a bit about Ordinance 49. I think Supervisor Ohmann had asked about consideration of how we could perhaps include certain fees in that ordinance. We were advised that the ordinance is right now under legal review, so we didn't do anything on it, nor did we make any recommendations. There was a suggestion that we check with council on whether or not that could be legal to include fees, and I think we're going to follow up on that. But very little discussion on that since it's under legal review. One more thing, there was one of the new Planning Commission members had a lot of questions and perhaps wants to talk further about the tents. Didn't like the definition, necessarily didn't like how things were worded. So I'm anticipating that when council comes back with a suggestion that he's going to be active in wanting to make further recommendations, just to give you a heads up.
On what did you say? On what?
On the tents, on the car park,
Tents.
I'm sorry, on the car park.
Thing.
Yep, on the car park.
Mostly concerned with the quantified.
There you go.
Okay.
And that's it. Very light discussion about how can we reconcile our ordinances with the Washington County Development Code. I know there's work that's been done on that. Still sort of need additional clarification. We didn't dive into that whatsoever. And that's it. A pretty good meeting. Just had a lot of praise for the Holcim attorney right before you entered. So that's it. Any questions?
Did you guys figure out how that county ordinance ties into ours? I know you had a question. Did you guys get that straightened out or not?
We didn't. We didn't. What we agreed is that folks were going to try to read both and see where's the intersect. And I know that we had kind of light comments on it saying it can get complicated.
Yeah.
So it was kind of framing the issue and seeing, I particularly asked Jake to see if he could actually take a fresh look at it, see if there's any insight that he's got. He's good with those kind of things, but no.
You know how we got to where we are though, right?
That I think I do.
Okay, that's the important part. Okay.
Yeah, that I think I do. And I think and that won't be a light discussion. It's just trying to reconcile the rules. That's really it.
Yeah.
So.
What would be nice is, depending what we do with these ordinances, if we do them in-house or don't do them or send them out, if we don't send them out, then Pam and I started combining them into one. But we just, we stopped on it until we figure out what we're gonna do here. Because it's, Pam and me offered to do it, but it's a fair amount of work, so.
Yeah, we really didn't have any
It's
discussion.
time-consuming is what it
You
is.
bet. And we didn't have discussion about the suggestion of getting additional help or not. None of that entered the conversation. We just know it's work to be done and that you have to make some decisions about, do we get help or do we try to do it ourselves? That's really it.
Thanks, Eduardo.
You got it. Thank you.
The next town board meeting is Wednesday, January 10th at 7 p.m. The next planning commission meeting is Monday, January 8th at 6:30. Any other committee reports? Okay, we got a.
Better? There we go.
Yeah,
I was supposed to actually have a meeting tomorrow with the Corps of Engineers representative Rick Hansen and then some other people with river stuff, but they moved it out. We might try next week to meet, so I might have something on that eventually.
They got money we can try and steal?
He's got like 6-8 people rounded up, so we'll see what, sit down at the table with them.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Yep, exactly.
That's in regards.
And that'd be channel, yeah,
Oh, that's for the channel.
yeah.
How about roads?
Well, I haven't, nothing to do with meetings for roads for.
Oh,
Rick
that's what
Hansen.
she's got here, road up.
Well, that'll be, yeah, we'll talk about that next.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that's
Shoot.
meeting, that was a meeting thing, that was the other for meetings coming
Oh,
up.
okay, oh, okay.
I'll take the roads, yeah. I don't know if you guys had a chance to drive the roads, but I'd like to pay Tri-County. I think they did a good job and get them squared up. Have any,
Yeah, you want it.
I don't know if
Wanna
we
do
need a
that
motion
tonight?
for that or anything, or do you need anything to pay Tri-County for their bill?
Do I need anything?
I was just, I mean, you guys drive
We should-
around, you looked, everything looks good to me,
Well, I drove around most of them.
yeah.
Well, I'll make, you want to pay them, right? That's
Yeah.
it. Well,
This is their
Final bill,
final bill.
yep.
I'll make a motion to pay the bill then.
What are you thinking?
I'll second it.
What are you thinking? Pam?
Well, okay, so it wasn't on this month's bill. Can we,
Yeah, we'll just make a motion to pay it.
and we can send it up to them?
Because I'd really.
It doesn't have to be on next month's bills, correct? I mean,
Right.
It'll be there, but I'll put
We can
that
put it
in.
on this one right now. Because I'd sooner have it in this year's budget, so the end of the year comes, we know right where we're at, versus sitting there, what do we owe them?
Are we
20,
talking about the
28.
gravel work on Pioneer?
No,
No, what are we talking?
trees,
trimming?
yeah,
Tree trim.
yep,
Okay, thank you.
yep,
And Dan, that's the bill you sent me, correct?
yep.
How much is it?
28, 20, 24?
$24,850.
Yeah, you added $1,200 for the stuff we added on
Okay.
the other road.
Oh, so did we approve the motion?
Yeah, he made the motion, I second it, got to vote on it.
Okay.
It did. It's, yeah, by the mailboxes, you can see it's gone. Yep. Oh. Yeah, they do it quick.
Yeah, we'll just pay that with our regular bills this month. Okay. We got to vote on it. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
And then I don't know if I try and find different, that Mark with Ridgeline, he wants to help us with it, but it's really hard to get him to get a date to come meet and walk through out there, but
For the
now that we
vote, you
got
mean?
this, yeah. So,
I just have to keep after him.
yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, all right.
Ordinance revision, that's you, you were going to talk about that, weren't you? Or you got
Okay.
nothing on
I
it?
can.
The only thing is that I have put it on this agenda because
Yeah.
we need an answer.
I would-
We asked for 4 bids for firms to revise the ordinances. I need to get back to them whether we're going to do it or not, or go with somebody or not.
Do we need a motion for that, or, like,
No,
my
I just
opinion
need-
is, it's just not, no, I mean, it's something that we can keep looking forward to and talk around budget time, but at this time, that's just too much money, and if you guys are willing to work on combining that, it'd be a good start, I'd appreciate that, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, as long, yeah, me and Pam were looking at if we're going to spend $10,000-$20,000 paying somebody to redo it, we'd have them do that too.
Yep.
But if we're not going to do that, which I don't think we're gonna, then me and her, probably after the first of the year, will start working on that.
Yeah.
We
I mean, it don't have to be done right away, it just makes life simpler for everybody.
we just
That's-
put that on hold until we
Yeah.
knew from all 3 of you whether we were going to go out for bid or not. So if we're not, let's
Pam,
make a
put me
date.
to work in January, okay.
Yeah.
So you went out for bid, or you're contemplating?
We had already contacted 4 other firms to give us a bid on revising our ordinances.
What'd they come back with?
It's on the meeting, but they came back with, I got
Upwards of 20 grand. You're right.
20 to 60
Yeah,
grand.
Yeah.
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 To clean them up, make them easier instead of having to dig. I think that's discussion could keep happening as we get to budget time, see what we can fit in for stuff. Any discussion
Okay.
on that? Do we need to?
No.
On what, the roads?
No, the revision, or, yeah,
Oh.
we're good, moving on.
Okay, ordinance 49-2. That, like Eduardo said, that's sitting with our attorney right now. We're waiting to hear back from him.
We should know by the January meeting.
Just for people at home, when we're doing all the work on it ourselves, when we got done and got to, where we're pretty much happy with where we are, we sent it to the township attorney to see if we're even heading in the right direction or if we're totally off our rocker.
Right, so we got some time here to do this.
Yeah.
What are road signs for?
Last month, two things came up about road signs. Somebody had asked about putting more parking signs from the S-curve up toward Jasper Lane, and that sort of went away, or I don't know. What you told me not to you told me to contact the county and then not to contact the county, so I'm not sure where that's sitting. And then also, that same week I went around, we were concerned about entrance signs, the 3 entrance signs to to Gray Cloud here. We have 3 entrance signs. None of them have no parking signs on them, or we have one that's next to it that says no parking by Ordinance 4. But anybody from any other area does not know what Ordinance 4 means. And basically, it's no parking in the right-of-way. So my question is, do we get 3 signs that will fit on each of the Welcome to Gray Cloud signs that we have? Or is that on hold still?
I think that's a minimum thing we could do. I think that'd be a nice, just the width of the sign and no parking on any township, whatever it's got to say.
Well, that's another thing. What would you like it to say? I think it's kind of dumb to say by ordinance number 4
Right.
because somebody from Cottage Grove's not going to know what that is.
You gotta
What
have,
we-
you gotta have something in there like, no parking within right-of-way or roadway, in Great Cloud Township, and an ordinance number.
Just have a small ordinance number underneath it, but no right-of-way parking.
And I'd say make them, you know what she's talking about, our
The
3
big sign.
entrance signs are
Yeah.
like this big,
See them signs?
make them,
Make it like that.
yeah, well, you have to make them wide enough to fit on them posts.
Right.
That our Welcome to Great Cloud sign is.
Okay, can you repeat what you said then, so I can write this down?
I'd say.
No parking,
No parking within right-of-way or roadway, in Great Cloud Island Township. And then ordinance number. That sound good?
You know, when you have an annual meeting, people park on 99th Street, quite a few people park there.
Well,
Okay.
It could get typical.
yeah, we're not out looking to nail people for parking. It's
It's the people
That
sitting there
ain't what
parked
it's
through the
about.
night and all that stuff that are causing problems, and
Yeah.
the police just shoo them along. But if
people
it's-
have graduation parties and this and that. That's,
Okay.
and then Cottage Grove will make them for us. Probably be a couple $100 a piece at least.
Do you want to talk about?
who puts them on?
A road boss.
Got it.
And then you can ask them if they suggest a better terminology, because they'll know what fits on there too. You just tell them,
Yeah.
you know what, they're really good up there to us. If you just tell them what we're after and where we want to put them, and they'll measure the signs that are there and they'll make them so they fit the posts. You don't have to go into a lot of detail for them, they're pretty good.
And talk about what Zach said too, with the down by the park.
Say that again?
What you emailed Zach about about the park, where that's at.
Yeah, that came up too last month. The parking at the
By Moore's
Second
second
fill.
fill.
there were issues that residents were saying that kids are parking there and they're racing around the island and they're parking there past 10. So yeah, I contacted them and I took pictures of what they have down there for signage, and it is not real. Doesn't stand out to people, especially where they park. So they said that they were going to put some signs there as to the hours of the park. I haven't been down there. Actually, I have, but I kind
Didn't
of
notice.
didn't notice if it's there or not. I'll keep checking.
So,
I wonder if we could reach out to Washington County Sheriff's Department and ask them what they need signage to say so they can enforce no parking across the street from me, Ted, anywhere else, you know, because when we called them, they said, well, they're doing this and they're parking here, but they, you know, what do they need so that they can of course, they're not really parking just to park, they're parking to stop, get out of their cars and trespass.
I think it's something to be said now that, like, we know it's in our ordinance and everything. That'd be nice when you guys call, because that's something you can answer
Yeah,
with is,
something
hey,
to
these,
say, this is-
right, this
they're like,
isn't.
well, I don't have anything to go with here.
That's fine, he's canoeing, but he needs to canoe in from St. Paul Park then, not park right here. And
So, kind of reach out to the sheriff's department and say, you know, what do you need from us to,
Yep,
for us to enforce our no parking? Which
Yep.
we have the right to deal with it.
we can do that.
That no parking, that's on County Road 75, so we
Yeah.
can't really put anything, our ordinance on there.
It's already there.
So
It's already
there's
there.
no parking signs there. Do we add more? Do we not add more? I mean,
Well,
you
no.
should see where everybody's
County
parking. You
70
could just go
County
out
75
wide.
is in the township.
Pardon
So
me?
County 75 is in the township, so they can't park along that either.
She's just saying we wouldn't add signs along the edge of it because
No.
it's county road.
No.
But we could, I mean, is that Elder? Who would we even talk to at the county for that?
Do we ask the county? That's my question. Do
We
we
could
ask
say
the
that.
county? Do we ask the county to add more? And
Yeah.
then how many more do you, I mean, you could,
Here's the problem, here's the problem with putting a no parking sign thing. If you go anywhere, anybody, and you're going up the street and there's a few no parking signs, you know not to park there. But as soon as they quit,
That's what they're.
now
that's
I
what
can
they're
park
doing right
past
now.
that.
Yeah.
And
So
that's what
put-
they're doing.
So putting no parking signs up by Ted and Jeff's is actually creating a problem with the three on the outskirts, on the three entrances, that says no parking within right away of the roadway. That's all we need. And
I wonder if we ask the county to add a sign, just one sign, like we're adding to ours up there that just says no parking along County Road 75 and
Don't have
eliminate.
to. 75 is in the township, it
Right.
falls under our ordinance.
But then, I mean, you're saying remove those signs then essentially, because that's all they're gonna keep doing, but if you
Which
just had
signs? Is
another.
there by
They're
Ted's
they're
or
just getting
something?
ahead,
Yeah.
In all the areas.
Yeah, get them out of there. Well, they create a problem because
Well, either
yeah,
add,
they stop.
they,
I think,
you just go past them and you
Well,
park.
that's why I feel like one sign passed, no parking next 3 miles.
I think we should just email the county and then just say, hey, we're having an issue with people
Either
parking
side
here,
of
can you
next
guys
3 miles,
help out with
and
that?
just,
That
see
makes
what
them,
the county
that makes them think they can park somewhere else.
not
Yeah.
within the next 3 miles, they can park in Cottage Grove.
Well, if we put the three, let's try putting the three signs on the entrances, and then if they park there, call the police, have them give them a ticket.
Will the police give them a ticket? That's
Yes,
what I'm saying.
they
you
can.
talk to the, because when
Well,
I
that's-
called, they said, well, I talked to the guys and it's pretty unclear and they're saying,
Well,
you know, they said, well, if they would have crossed Jasper and they would have been on the mine right away, that would have been one thing. And I'm like, no, that doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
They thought if it's not posted every whatever on against property, private property, that they didn't feel like it was enforceable.
It wasn't, because our signs coming into the township are this big.
Yeah.
Who sees them? Go to court and tell the judge, well, how am I supposed to know I can't park there? Think about every other community you go to. When they have winter parking regulations, they don't plaster signs all over town. You go into Cottage Grove, there's a sign. Winter parking rules. Go into St. Paul Park, there's a sign. Winter parking rules. Okay, you park, you get a ticket. You don't need to put them 50 more throughout Cottage Grove.
Sure. But I mean, it's concentrated where the parking is happening. And it is
Yeah.
along where those signs
Right.
are. And
Right after that.
But the problem
right
is,
after the bridge. And
it's kind of like when people were putting out our no wake buoys. Well, where's it start and stop? Okay, there's no wake buoy, I slow down, where's the other one? Okay, so now we got a no wake sign in all three entrances of the channel. Now they got something to go by. This is the same thing.
I can also contact the sheriff and explain to them, now we're gonna have signage that you guys can enforce. They go by our ordinance. They do it with the noise ordinance that we just did, spent a year on. They needed to have an ordinance in order to, what's the wording? Enforce it, sorry.
And we have that,
I was gonna
right?
say,
That
we do
says
have
there's no public parking along County Road 75.
But maybe, like you said, they're confused.
They don't know.
Okay, so I'll make a phone call to the sheriff.
They will with the three new signs.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And we tell them.
Whatever it takes, I mean,
Okay, let's move on.
Okay. Do we got any other unfinished business?
I don't think so.
New business. We have two things here, one called Holcim Administrative Mining Permit, and the other one is Holcim Saturday Hours. Or Saturday hours are 7 to noon?
Yeah, we'll get to that. Let's do the other part first.
All right.
Mr. Chair, real quick, just with this, just a reminder, it's our duty to just listen and take in consideration. We don't have to necessarily deliberate. So just take it in and have your own thoughts. If we have any discussion, we don't have to have discussion.
Well, we got to discuss this ordinance, right?
We can, yes. I mean, if we
Yeah.
hear from anybody else, yeah.
Oh, you're talking about everybody else. Okay, I'll throw my 3 cents in. These hours, I just want to put the same hours they had in there in the 2023 permit. It says just follow our ordinance and follow them hours. The ones that were in their application were actually not accurate. It says these hours were approved in 2023 and will allow the company to run a second shift. The hours listed are not what was approved in 2023. Patty knows that, understands that. I'd sooner just go back to the same hours we allowed them in 2023. And if they want to operate on Saturday, that's the next line item.
I would agree with that. I think it makes sense.
The rest of it, to me, looks okay.
Yeah, I had no other issues with.
Dick, can I
Sure,
talk about hours?
sure.
So, the hours that are listed on this administrative permit,
Application,
application permit, are not the ordinance 49 hours. They're extended. We're asking for an extension, which is allowed by the ordinance, which you granted us last year.
we only granted Saturday.
We review the minutes from the January or the February meeting. And also, that's why we're trying to put these minutes in the permit this year, so we don't have this problem. But we went to a special meeting. You approved our permit with ordinance 49 hours, period.
Yep,
We came back in January or February per the ordinance, which it allows, and asked special permission to get extended hours, and you granted us that. So we're trying to shortcut that extra meeting and asking for the special hours here, and by putting them in the permit here, now they're all in one spot. We're not looking at minutes in February and permits here, and it condenses everything, saves a step.
I don't have the January minutes, but I got the March ones. That's where we allowed you to operate from 7 a.m. to noon on Saturday. I ain't gonna read the whole paragraph, but there was heated discussion from the audience and from Holcim, and it was fine. What's that?
March, yep.
Yeah. Okay, March. Okay, now we're on the same month. There was heated discussion from the audience and from Holcim. It was finally agreed upon that the hours can stand except for Saturdays. Those hours of operation shall be 7 a.m. to noon. Nothing about Monday through Friday.
I'd just like to say in 2023, we have an ordinance and we followed our ordinance to a T, and that's what we did, and that's what we expect to do again this
Well,
year.
these are,
There's no reason to change it. We had it in our hours, and like you said, you have the ability to come and speak with us and ask for something, and we followed our ordinance, and we made a judgment, and we allowed that. There's no need to divvy outside of our ordinances for something that's not, we're here to follow them.
And in the 2023 administrative permit, it says hours of operation. Hours of operation are established in Township Ordinance 49.2, last amended March 10th, 2021, Section VA3.
Do you have what we submitted in March that you were making a motion on?
I just got the minutes from the meeting, the minutes from that board meeting.
The piece of paper we handed you to make that motion had these hours on
Yeah, we didn't give you what you asked for. I remember specifically at that meeting, because me and you were doing most of the talking, you were sitting right here, and you said, well, this isn't gonna allow me to run a second shift. I said, well, you can run till 7 o'clock at night. I think it's 7 to 7 are the hours. And I just told you, I said, well, I said, if you don't cause any problems, you probably won't have any problems. You didn't cause any problems, you didn't have any problems, and that's the way we operated all year. And on Saturday, we let you operate from 7 to noon.
Which we appreciate. That exchange we had, was that on the night of the permit approval, or was that on?
That was on March 8th.
Right. Not to interrupt, but regardless of when it was, what hours it was, none of that's really relevant. The bottom line is we approved administrative permit in 2023 to our ordinance. We have the ability with our ordinance for you to come to us and ask for certain conditions, and we took it into consideration, and we approved what you offered to us, or even if it's modified, it doesn't matter. You guys can do that same process again this year and follow our ordinance, and we can look at it and do that.
And I feel comfortable as a board member allowing you these extended hours on Saturday from 7 to noon. But I don't feel comfortable as a board member extending them hours till, what'd you ask for, midnight? Till 10 o'clock at night. If we were gonna do that, I would suggest we change our zoning ordinance, the mining section of it, and have a public hearing and get input from the public and this and that.
You really probably wouldn't like that route.
Yeah, and that'd go over like a lead balloon, I think. Granting you the Saturday, I didn't have one complaint about the Saturday operation. But I think if you start raising a bunch of noise till 10 at night or something, we'd probably hear about it. And being close to a residential area, somewhere along the line, there should be a quiet time. We have it on building construction and people building buildings, and this isn't any different. We're not a mile away from a residential area here.
We had 0 complaints on noise.
That's why it's perfect. That's why we're sitting here saying we're in agreement to listen to what you guys offer and be able to approve that again. Because of that, if we had complaints, we wouldn't even be in consideration of it.
And you're gonna have to ask for the Saturday thing in the next line item. We got it on the agenda, but it's up to you to ask for it, for Saturday.
We're ready to ask for that. And we're also ready to ask for the extended hours.
Yeah, you're not gonna get that.
Well, and what I
Should we do this first one? Is there any other
Sure.
discussion on the permit before we get to that, or do you want to get right into that? I don't know if anyone else has any, not to cut you off. Is there anything else on the permit we have
We're
to?
not ready to do the permit at this time. We should be able to get it in our January meeting.
I think we are
Well,
ready.
yeah,
I think
we
we're
are.
done with it. Planning commission is done. We're done.
Is there any other
They're not happy with
discussion
us, but
from anyone else? Is there?
I'll just add, gentlemen,
sure.
I appreciate the Saturday consideration, and I appreciate the extended hours you granted us. Those are hours that we've been running for a long time, previous to last year when we noticed the difference between the ordinance and what we're requesting.
Mm-hmm.
As it's difficult every year to predict what a river's gonna do in terms of flooding and droughts and river levels and things, and for business certainty, that's why I'm asking for it now, instead of when the problem happens, and I'm asking it, and I don't know which way the wind blows. I'm looking for some business certainty, and we have a track record of operating those hours with no complaints, and you always have the option to say, we had a complaint, stop, you can't continue. That's always your option with these extended hours.
I don't have a problem with you coming and asking us. I think that works out fine. And another thing, if we do grant them hours, I'm afraid, like your application this year where Patty comes back, well, you let us do this last year. You let us do this 5 years ago. You let us do this 3 years ago. Let us do it this year. You know, I don't really,
When history repeats and we don't have complaints year over year, I would expect as a business, you keep doing the same thing and you're going to have the same results. You're going to keep getting that same answer. But for us to change the rule of law doesn't make any sense. That doesn't fit in. Our ordinance has been in place for 50 years. There's no reason to change the process for one thing.
And what we would suggest is that because of the longstanding lack of complaints with regards to those extended
because of the nature of what's going on?
And because of also how you've approved the mining operations for this permit. And so that's something that I would request that you consider as well in this conversation. So the excavating, the stockpiling, the crushing, and the washing all occur on the base of the quarry. So as compared to the expanded mining operations that are the entirety of the footprint, they're centralized on our plans. And so that provides additional setback, that provides additional distance from surrounding property owners. And that's what's reflected in the sort of practical impact of what the mine has been doing for many years in terms of its hours of operation. What we're suggesting to you is please approve the extended hours of operation, the 3 hours on weekdays and the half day on Saturday, with the understanding that if complaints occur, that we recognize that those hours are gonna have to bump down. And that creates significant financial uncertainty for the mine, because they're making sure that they're staffed up for that. But we're willing to make that commitment in order to have certainty with regards to that. It also creates the opportunity, frankly, for you to revoke the permit as well, which is what the planner suggested at the last meeting, and was my note to the clerk in response to the changed agenda item.
The last thing that came up last meeting or something was in order to revoke something on you, and it was brought up, well, where's your day in court? In order to, I think it had to do with tree clearing or something like that. It was like, well, you can't just stop us, we'll have it at the next meeting, or we'll have this. Follow what I mean? You guys wanted your day in court on that. Well, if you're making a bunch of noise and this and that I'm sure is gonna come up again. Well, you don't just call us at 8 o'clock on Wednesday night and say, hey, we're revoking this. Number one of us can't do that alone. It'd take a board meeting. We gotta post it for 10 days. So you're making this noise, and you make it sound like we can just revoke it. We can't just revoke it. Gotta have a special meeting, gotta wait 10 days. I don't wanna get into that.
Well, and what I would suggest to you is that we are ultimately a part of this community, and the mine's continued success is dependent upon the work that we do here in this room to make sure that it is functioning in conjunction with what the community expects. That's why we come before you every year for a permit renewal. So we're committed to the partnership. The condition can be revised to create additional revocation rights for those hours, so that if you get those phone calls, there's a verified complaint. And what we're saying in terms of the last meeting, so there's a distinction between additional flexibility that would be granted under your ordinance and full-on revocation of the permit to operate the mine. So those are two different levels of discretion and two different levels of what's required of you under Minnesota law for us to come back and say, for shutting us down entirely. We're not suggesting that in this case. We're saying if you receive complaints, and those are verified complaints that there was noise heard and it was disrupting, we're gonna be community partners and shut that down. That's not, we can also include within that condition that there is a modified revocation rate, right? So that you can say, nope, your hours have to go back to 7 to 7. That's the deal. People are hearing too many things. I think what we wanna be protective of, though, is that I think there is a track record, as your meeting minutes reflective, of heated conversations in this room. And we want to ensure that if we're being a good neighbor and we're doing what we said we're going to do, that there is parity on the other side.
Can I appreciate your side, your view, your point respectfully. Is there any dates or anything, any situations that have came up that you guys haven't been able to do what you wanted to do from the township's aspect, allowing you to do work? Have we held you up in any of those manners? Any of, over the past 30 years, has there ever been a time that the township's not allowed you guys to operate as a business and be profitable for everything reasonable? Do you have situations? Because we've always approved stuff, anything reasonable for you guys to operate later, to do all that. We've always, in good faith, worked for your company to operate all that. There's no reason to. So for us to get, here's our ordinances. They've been in place for 50 years or whatever it's been. They've worked fine for all those years. there's no reason for us to sit down at a table and try and modify it right now.
No, and we're not requesting you modify the ordinance at all. The ordinance specifically suggests this particular scenario in conjunction with review of those mining plans, right? If the stockpiling and the work was getting done closer to the mine's edge, I think that that's a very different conversation. But what we're suggesting is that based upon the seasonal nature of the mine and based upon the plans that have been proposed to unite, that there's a reasonable basis for you to extend those hours for those 3 hours on weekdays and then the Saturday.
Well, I'll tell you what, we could sit here and talk about this all night, and I'm not going to be flexible in it unless we change our zoning ordinance. To just grant you that, what you're asking, I'm against, because I want to hear from our residents. In order to change your hours of operation, more than just the Saturday, and without giving you a day when you call, I would want to change the zoning ordinance and let all the neighbors know we're changing the zoning ordinance to extend your hours. And I can guarantee you, half of Great Cloud Island be in here trying to pound knobs on our head. And I'm not willing to take that chance. We had no problems last year, none at all. And you, well, let me finish a minute once. You know, you make the comment, well, this is down in the hole, back in the thing here. My house is about 3,000 feet from here. Okay, there's been times 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, I'm sitting out in the backyard, and I mean, conditions got to be just right. I can hear the rocks crumbling, I can hear the rocks going in the hoppers over here. And it's not terrible, it's acceptable. But now, I'm not 500 feet away, I'm 3,000 feet away. And we had no problem last year, and we're actually amending our zoning ordinance 49.2. Right now, it says in there, you got to get a hold of the board chair to get extended hours. And when we get that straightened out, which we're working on, okay, you would only have to get a hold of one of us. If you couldn't get a hold,
Which we made that easier for Holcim.
we actually made that easier for you, and that was our idea. Basically, we're doing it illegally before. They couldn't get a hold of Paul, they got a hold of me and Dan, we said, go ahead. So we violated our own ordinance. This way we won't. Like I told Tom last year, don't cause any problems, you ain't gonna have any problems. I mean, he's called me a number of times. I'll get your cell phone out. Dick, can we operate tonight till 7 o'clock? Dick, can we operate on Saturday? Can the trucks go the other way? Never had a bit of problem that I know of. Like I say, I'm not gonna grant them hours without changing the zoning ordinance and having a public hearing and hearing from all the public and going to the planning commission with it.
One thing that, I mean, maybe I'd be open to is, you know, maybe this summer you have us down and you show us what this stuff actually is, and maybe an understanding of it helps us understand more, but for now, it's just not, without the understanding, we've never held you back, so you should be thankful for that. There's no need to look at it further.
I don't even know how often you go past 7 at night. Maybe you don't want to say. I mean, most of the time, aren't you done 7 to 7 anyway?
Can you give us a little clarification in terms of the, you know, sort of, there's two processes under the ordinance. There's like the pop-up where the felled tree, right?
Yep.
The tree goes down, we gotta change the route.
Yeah.
And then there's what's approved underneath your permit. So, let's say we have increased meat production and we wanna operate that for those additional weeknight hours. What is that process like, and what is your understanding of the scope of authority for how long you can approve that for? Would that be like, we know this project's coming in, we know we've got to move this product out, can we have approval for a month period? Just because when I'm thinking, and Tom and I haven't talked about this, I'm just talking now, but, you know, since they're gonna be hiring folks to be able to fill those jobs, we have to create some certainty for them. You know, there's a process to that. How does that ideally look for you, and how would you want to see those requests come?
My personal opinion, the certainty isn't in us allowing it, it's in you as a business to operate under quiet conditions that you guys have been doing for all the years. If you guys put yourself in a situation different than you've been doing all the years, then you're gonna get yourself in a situation. But everything is short term. It's not, we'll approve you for 3 months to run late. We can try it, couple weeks, whatever, and if we get complaints, stuff like that, then it goes away, but it's not, I mean, I'm all for open to ideas and different things, but our ordinance reads this way, and we've granted everything you guys have presented us, and you as a business have done a great job. We have had 0 complaints for any of it, so there should be 0 reason to see any coming in. I mean, I don't, that's how I see it.
Yeah, I'll finish reading what was in there. I didn't get all the way through it for you, too. Sure.
I would assume they don't want to blast right at night.
No,
No.
no.
No, they
yeah,
weren't,
Yeah, no.
they weren't asking for that. They're asking for running the conveyor, some other things.
Let me put this whole thing in there for you so
the
you
drills.
understand where we're coming from.
Excavation, crushing, screening, washing, and stockpiling.
Yeah.
Is drilling in there too?
No.
Okay. Okay, I'll read it again. So I'll go farther this time. There was heated discussion from the audience and from Holcim, and it's finally agreed upon that the hours can stand except for Saturday. Those hours of operation shall be 7 a.m. to noon. And that Holcim can call for an extension of hours for that day if they need to work longer. Also, Supervisor Polt stated it needs to be said that the town board can rescind these hours of operation at any time. So I propose this same language for the 24 permit. With that, I'll make a motion to pass what the Planning Commission sent on to us and put these hours in there.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Now, this next one's up to you guys here. Get back to our minutes here.
That could be brought up at any time, too. It doesn't need to be brought up tonight.
And we did this for your benefit, so you didn't have to come back in a month.
So, as we have just, I'll stand up for the purpose of.
You got to introduce yourself, too. We don't even know who you are.
Megan Rogers, Larkin Hoffman, on behalf of Holcim. We have, our application includes extended Saturday hours. And those extended Saturday hours are specifically tied to the seasonal nature of our operations at the existing quarry, here in Great Falls Township. We requested those hours have been consistent with our past operations, and that's reflective not of your authority, that's in fact reflective of the fact that we have not received complaints related to those operation hours, and that we have functioned, sufficiently and in compliance with the ordinance, your noise ordinance, and all of those associated codes. And so for those reasons, we respectfully request addition of the Saturday hours to our mining hours, specifically with regard to excavation and crushing.
Is your mic working?
She never pushed the button, I don't think.
Because
There's a
I'm not
button.
hearing you.
It's on top somewhere.
Maybe just get closer. I thought it was on because I bumped into it earlier and it was on.
Is this better?
Yeah,
Any
just
better?
gotta talk
Okay,
into it.
sounds good. And so ultimately, we are requesting those additional hours. Tom can talk about the operations plans. It's part of our application, and it's specifically outlined in your ordinance that there is an opportunity for us to make this request. As I suggested before, the 2023 permit did specifically approve those hours with a secondary approval, and your mining ordinance contemplates this type of request as part of an annual application. And so we respectfully request that. We have no prior complaints with regards to those operational hours, and they are extraordinarily valuable based upon the seasonal nature of our operation.
You know, your assumption is you're going to have these people working from 6 to 10 up all week.
Our assumption, so our request originally was to have staff on site and doing specifically the excavation, crushing, stockpiling, and storing during weekdays from,
6 a.m. to
So your
10 at
ordinance
night.
currently permits 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We requested 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. And then we requested the additional add-on of the Saturday hours. And those Saturday hours were part of the approvals that Supervisor Polka read out from last year.
Do you have a formal copy of what you guys are requesting that we could get?
Absolutely. And what you'll see on page 2 of this letter, it's the same email that I sent to the clerk earlier today in response to the revised annual permit. Yep, at 3 o'clock today, probably. It's from me.
To 4 o'clock, and I didn't get it, but I can look.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Share that. Well, that makes me, it's good to hear that we've got to get on the same page here. So ultimately, the page 2 of this letter includes an outline of your existing ordinance hours, what is currently permitted by ordinance for any mining entity that would be coming in for an application. We are compliant with all of those hours. The flexibility that we are requesting, again, as we've discussed, is the extended hours on the weekdays and then, of course, the Saturday hours. That's before you tonight. And furthermore, for your review, the section of the mining ordinance that again permits this use is that the foregoing of hours of operation hauling may be modified by the town board upon request of the operator when the seasonal nature of the work or unusual circumstance requires longer working hours. That is the reflective nature of our seasonal business operation, and that's why we are requesting those hours. It also is mirrored in our annual application and our request.
What I'd like to recommend, I guess, is if we could put this on for an agenda item for next month so we can have time to review this and put it on the Planning Commission's agenda and then rule on it next month.
And there's, to me, there seems to be a potential problem with the 7 to 10. The ordinance is 7 to 7.
She has that written in here.
And, yeah, right here. I don't understand the 10 o'clock.
Well, really, right now, all we should be talking about is Saturday.
Well, Saturday is 7 to 9.
Yeah, I don't care what she handed us. We're kind of done with most of that with passing the permit. The line item runner is Holcim Saturday hours. I'd sooner get that done tonight, get that done for them, get that done for us, get it out of the way. I'll make a motion. We agree the Saturday hours, the same as it was quoted in the minutes of the March 8th, 2023 town board meeting.
Is that 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.?
7 to noon. Only Saturday it talks about. Nothing during the week.
Oh, right.
Only Saturday.
Oh, this is Monday through Friday.
Yeah, I don't really care about that. We're done with
Yeah,
most of
no,
that.
I got it.
Want me to read that again for everybody?
My,
Yeah? You want me to? Okay. Here's what happened. Okay. Minutes of March 8th, 2023. All right. Okay. Aggregates hours of operation. There was heated discussion from the audience and from Holcim, and it was finally agreed upon that the hours can stand except for Saturdays. Those hours of operation shall be 7 a.m. to noon, and that Holcim can call for an extension of hours for that day if they need to work longer. Also, Supervisor Polta stated that it needs to be said that the town board can rescind these hours of operation at any time. Okay.
Absolutely no hauling on Saturdays?
What's in our permit? I'd have
Yeah,
to-
they can-
I don't.
7 to noon.
Every Saturday.
Well,
No, because Tom.
There's not, right?
No,
I
that-
wanted to be going to that.
No, there's not, because Tom called, what, a couple times last year?
We had very few have Saturday hauling.
So you would
2 or 3?
It was very limited.
Yeah, there's maybe, I'd say at the most 4 Saturdays. I don't think it was 4. I think it was probably 3.
Dick, my thoughts are to, I guess, read this thoroughly and make sure I understand what Holcim's asking in entirety, and then be able to have some time to think about it for
Well, I'm not-
next month, but that's just my,
Most of this has to do with their annual permit, which we already
well, this is
approved.
just like what you're trying to approve right now. It's outside of our thing. They're presenting us with this to ask.
Just
seeking-
Saturday. Only Saturday.
Well, they're asking for extra other hours.
Yeah, I don't,
I'm just saying,
Yeah,
I personally, you guys can do what you want. I personally would like to just be able to read it and make sure I understand it and before I act on it. But
really all we'd be doing is the same thing we did last year, giving them an operation for Saturday. Nothing to do with the rest of it. All the rest of it is taken care of 20 minutes ago.
So you're not voting on what she just handed you, you're voting on,
Just Saturday.
No, we're looking
Solely
at it.
Saturday. Yeah. What she just handed me, I don't really care about, because we already
So-
discussed all that.
Yeah,
We're not voting on what she gave us.
they formally didn't really ask for just Saturday. So you're just picking Saturday out of here?
I'm not picking anything out of here. I'm just making a motion to approve Saturday operation for 'em.
So we requested the extended hours as part of our application that was submitted back in November. And there, during our last conversation with the town board at the special meeting, it seemed as though the town board was supportive of the extended hours based upon the past operations that were ongoing at the mine. When we attended the planning commission meeting earlier this week,
the planning commission spoke about the distinction between the hours of operation, how this flexibility worked. And so tonight we came back to you after hearing what you said and what the planner recommended at our last meeting with the town board, after hearing the planning commission's opinion, and brought this forward, summarizing what we asked for. And there's no new ask for you tonight. This ask is consistent with our application from November.
But it's not consistent with previous year's mining stuff, so that's what's different about it. So like when we spoke, we had no complaints with what you guys did last year. This is above and beyond what was done last year. And that's where, me personally, I would just like some time to like read it, make sure I give you guys the benefit of the doubt to understand it before I just go and say I'm only willing to give you what I gave you last year.
Well, actually, we already voted on this when we approved their annual permit for this year.
We voted for the annual permit to read to follow for the hours of operation, but just like
Yeah.
you're thinking of approving for Saturday,
Yeah.
they also have a right to ask for that extended 7 to 10.
But right now, all they're asking,
Dick's motion,
Yeah.
plain and simple, is 7 to noon, that's what you're voting.
here, we can, let's simplify it. Okay, we already approved their administrative permit with our hours we want. Right now, all they're asking for is Saturday. Right? That's what we're under, right here. All they're asking for is Saturday. Take this and throw it away. All they're asking, that's the line item we're under, Holcim Saturday hours, not revisit. The other thing we already approved, we approved the 2024 administrative permit with the hours we want. The only thing on the table right now is Saturday. Saturday from 7 to noon, and we can withdraw, we can take that approval away whenever we want.
So I'd ask Holcim, I guess, for my understanding, are you guys fine not asking for any of this and just Saturday only? Because this is different than what we did last year. This is above and beyond. And I'm willing to do that, but if you're fine with just Saturday and not asking for any discussion around the adding extra hours during the week.
Well, right here tonight, I would be ecstatic if we could get Saturdays put on there, so I have that certainty for the weekend.
Come up and restate your request that you're only asking for Saturday. Under what we're dealing with right now. Saturday, 7 to noon.
Met with Holcim. We have discussed a lot of things. I hope this thing's on. Right now, we are contemplating Saturday, 7 to noon. That is a request before you. I would appreciate your consideration in approving those hours for the season.
That's,
Thank you.
yeah.
Like I said, I just want to clarify that with previous conversations, where all this, the hours, the extended hours were listed, you guys made the decision that you're going to stick with ordinance 49.2 and what's outlined there in terms of Monday through Friday.
Yep.
That's what we did when we, that's what we did when we,
So I wanted
that's what we did when we, the
to, I heard, but I just,
previous line item, Holcim Administrative Mining Permit 2024.
thank you.
Well, what's on the table right now is solely Saturday. Want me to restate my motion?
No, we've done it already.
Okay. We would be using the language out of the minutes of March 8th, 2023. Basically, what that says is they can work on Saturday from 7 to noon, and we can take that hours of operation away
So-
whenever we want.
I would like to have it added to next month's thing, and I would like to see the permit get signed and returned before we consider any extra hours.
They don't sign it. We just give it to them, right?
They don't have to agree to it. I think they have
No.
to sign it.
I've signed it before.
Yeah.
Oh,
We'll sign it tonight. We're ready to go.
we grant the permit, so.
They don't
They
have to agree.
request-
They don't have to agree to the terms.
Well, they either, no,
What's wrong with just waiting a month?
well, because we're supposed to have this done by January.
We don't have to have a request. This is above and beyond request. We can have deliberation. The permit's turned over in a timely manner, professionally.
Which part you gonna dig apart?
Just the Saturday stuff. Is there time to just,
We will
It's-
fully revoke any request. I will take those pieces of paper off of your table, revoke our request for extended hours on weekdays. We would like you to consider the Saturday permit tonight.
Yeah.
So at this time, we're looking for a second on Dick's motion to do Saturday hours.
I think
extend
Paul's
them
seconded
Saturday hours.
No, I seconded it.
You did?
Yeah. And we all said aye.
We gotta vote, though.
Huh?
We gotta vote on it. We didn't vote on it, though.
Oh.
We made a motion and second, gotta vote.
could we get a acceptance on the mic for the permit that they agree to the terms we just provided before we vote on this?
Yeah.
Well, I don't,
Yeah, because we're not gonna allow the 7 to 10.
I'm saying, well,
7 to 7 is
they
what
said
it
they
was.
agreed to the 24 administrative permit. Could we just get that on record, I guess, is what I'd like to do that, because this has to be signed for it to be good by their representation. Does she need to do it on mic for you or anything? Okay. Oh, I thought she just revoked the thing. I didn't, sorry. I
oh,
was
she's
thinking
trying to
of the other.
simplify what we're doing right now.
We thank you for your consideration of our annual permit renewal request. We accept the terms and conditions of the permit as presented to you this evening with the board's revisions and look forward to consideration of our Saturday hours.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, who wants to make a motion?
I already did.
Motion, we're looking on a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any other things from the floor? I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.